And there is Jamaica right here. And then Honduras. Let me go to the USGS site here. 7.6. Here is the map. So you can see the closest coast. You have the Cayman Islands, you have Jamaica, you have Cuba, you have Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, Honduras here. Quick thanks to Cartoon Maps, PZ Papa Zulu, Amy Celeste, and The Watchman. I wonder if, is this the biggest earthquake yet of 2020-25? Sorry. I believe it is the biggest. USGS says significant earthquakes 2025, and I don't see anyone bigger than this. So it looks to be the biggest of the year so far, if this is correct. Oh, now Brian Williams and Gangster Luffy say it's the biggest since 2023. Was there a bigger one last year? 2024. This is the 2024 list, 7370. I haven't seen one yet on the list. 7071, 747172. There's a lot of them. I should just Google this because that's too big a list. Earthquakes in 2025, 7 to 7.9. Yes, this is the biggest according to Wikipedia. In 2024, list of earthquakes in 2024 by magnitude. Yes, the biggest one in 2024 was Japan, January 1st, Noto earthquake. That's 2024. So it's the biggest one since 2023? (2023) Yes, there was a 7.8 in Turkey in 2023. Let me just check something real quick here. Let me check something real quick. One of our viewers said that it's a significant downgrade from 8.0 to 7.6. Now, I looked on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told me that an 8.0 earthquake is about 2.5 times stronger in shaking and releases about 6.3 times more energy than a 7.6. Do we have another update yet from the U.S. Tsunami Warning System? Still says tsunami advisory. I'm waiting for another update. They usually post updates and they'll say if their tsunami waves have been detected. Tammy D says it's still a very large quake. Again, no threat for, as we mentioned, I have too many things open at the same time. There is no tsunami danger for the U.S. East Coast, the Gulf of Mexico states, or the eastern coast of Canada. Has anyone heard about any tsunami updates? Again, this was the list of places at risk according to. Well, that's a list of places at risk according to U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. But also, they did mention that For Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, US and British, they said there is a tsunami threat to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands of sea level fluctuations and strong ocean currents that could be a hazard along coasts, beaches, in harbors, and in coastal waters. The earliest estimated time that hazardous sea level fluctuations and strong ocean currents may begin in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands is 9:48 p.m. AST, which is in 20 minutes. They also say persons located in or near the ocean should move out of the water, off the beach, and away from harbors, marinas, bays, and inlets. But they also said that I think they said, no, the generation of tsunami waves has not yet been confirmed. Estimated forecast tsunami heights and durations for the Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands are not yet available. And then they put some times over there for when things might happen. And that is, actually, you know what? I think I was an hour off. Currently, Atlantic Standard Time, AST, is that what it is? AST now is 8:29. So for Puerto Rico, this would be in an hour and 20 minutes because it's currently 8:29 p.m. Puerto Rico time, Atlantic Standard Time. Oh, buoy movement? Yeah, maybe I could check that. Although I don't believe buoy movement translates exactly to tsunami height at the coast. I'll have to look that up. I cannot steal live cameras from the internet, by the way. But let me know if you're seeing anything. We should get an update soon from the, oh, new update. We have a new update from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. New update. This is new. Tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters above the tide level are possible along some coasts of Cuba. Tsunami waves reaching 0.3 to 1 meters above the tide level are possible for some coasts of Honduras and Cayman Islands. This is new. This is a new post from US Tsunami Warning Center. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Look at this. There it is. Oh, I wouldn't call this nothing. 3 meters? That would be 9 feet above the coast of Cuba. That would be nothing? I don't think that would be nothing. Okay, so again, this is just in from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Tsunami, this is their new update. Tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters, roughly 3 to 9 or 3 to 10 feet above the tide level, are possible along some coasts of Cuba. tsunami waves reaching 0.321 meters above the tide level are possible for some coasts, 1 to 3 feet roughly, some coasts of Honduras and Cayman Islands. For all other areas covered by this message, there is no tsunami threat, although small sea level changes may occur. It sounds like those are the main threat areas right there. Estimated times of arrival. So that time is already passed for Cayman Islands and Cuba. Now, I don't know, for some of those parts of Cuba, some parts of Cuba, and those two parts of the Cayman Islands, it is currently 0033 UTC. But it says actual arrival times may differ and the initial wave may not be the largest. A tsunami is a series of waves and the time between waves can be 5 minutes to 1 hour. Impacts can vary significantly from one section of coast to the next due to local bathymetry and the shape and elevation of the shoreline. Bathymetry is the measurement of depth of water. Impacts can also vary depending on the state of the tide. The next message will be issued in 1 hour or sooner if the situation warrants. Did they release another one? So, again, this originally, they had said that this latest warning was for the non-U.S. Caribbean. The non-U.S. Caribbean. This is for the Caribbean and adjacent regions, which would be the most at risk. And right now, they're saying that the places at risk of tsunami are Cuba, 1 to 3 meters above tide level, Honduras and Cayman Islands, 0.3 to 1 meters above tide level, and for all other areas covered by this message, there is no tsunami threat, although small sea level changes may occur. I would assume that means that they will issue, since Puerto Rico is farther away, I assume they will issue another message at some point soon saying there's not a threat for Puerto Rico, but they haven't done that yet, and the Virgin Islands. If we go to here and we refresh, okay, B&O News mentioned this. Thanks, B&O News. What you can see here is you can see that you have 1 to 3 meters Cuba, 0.3 to 1 meters Cayman Islands, and the only other things on there are these advisories for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. I don't know. Oh, hold on, we have a new message from Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. New. Okay, Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. What does it say? There is a tsunami threat to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands of sea level fluctuations and strong ocean currents. Okay, that's what it says. Oh, below 1 foot. We are at below 1 foot. Tsunami threat to Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands is now below 1 foot tsunami waves. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Threat of tsunami waves less than 1 foot high for Puerto Rico and U.S. and Virgin and U.S. Virgin Islands and British Virgin Islands. There you go. So again, that is for Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and British Virgin Islands. You can see forecast height below 1 foot. And that would be starting in about an hour and 8 minutes. That's when it would be 9:46 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. So right now, the places at risk, according to the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center, are, well, you have Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and British Virgin Islands, but and those are all below 1 foot forecast height. And then we have Cuba 1 to 3 meters above the tide level. Along some coasts of Cuba, that's about 3 to 9 or 3 to 10 feet. Yeah, 3 meters is about 10 feet. Roughly 1 to 3 feet, 0.3 to 1 meters for some coasts of Honduras and Cayman Islands. Okay? And I'm not aware of any other warning areas they have. That is the only places they are highlighting for tsunami threat. Thank you, Evil Bunny. Yeah, we're not going to talk about the Greek series of Greek earthquakes right now, but I'm certainly aware of it. Did I post about it? I think I posted something about it yesterday. So I'll keep an eye on that, Evil Bunny from Canada. Thank you. Also, Grace Rodriguez, thanks. Tracy, Valley, DeWatchman, Amy Celeste, PZ Papa Zulu, thank you. Let's see here. So Cuba, well, Cuba and Honduras are really, Cuba is the biggest place to watch. Now, it says here for Cuba, a couple of the places had initial arrival times already passed, but this is on, are these on the other side of Cuba? Why are these arrival times so much later? Nueva Gerona. Let me see where that is. Give me a moment. I got to pull up a map here of Cuba. Maybe those times are for like the other side of the island. Oop, hold on. There's that. All right, so let's go to Cuba. Oopsie. Or maybe they're just much more distant. Where is Nueva Gerona? Nueva Gerona, Cuba, or Nueva Gerona? Oh, that's here. Oh, so that's on the other side of here. So the specific areas they mentioned, let me show you the towns that they mentioned in the warning for Cuba. They said Cienfuegos was at risk. Now, where's Cienfuegos? That's there. Oh, that's interesting. Look at this. So the earthquake was right in here, okay? Cienfuegos, if you look at here, it's like there's an inlet there. See, the city is there in Cienfuegos. So the water goes in here. I know that the height of the impacts, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center says impacts can vary significantly from one section of coast to the next due to local water heights, bathymetry, and the shape and elevation of the shoreline. So for whatever reason, this is one of the areas of Cienfuegos they had highlighted. One of the areas of Cuba they had highlighted. And it's interesting. There's like a narrow inlet, and then there's this water area, this bay, I guess, in here. So maybe something about the way this is laid out here is puts it at more risk. So that's one of the ones they mentioned. And also, where is it here? Santiago, did they say Santiago de Cuba? I don't know if that's Santiago de Cuba. That is over here, and it's actually similar. It's similar. Santiago de Cuba was pointed out. It's similar here in that you have this kind of narrow inlet, and there's the city. Audio X3 says funnels in. So they mentioned those two, and then they mentioned after that Santa Cruz de Sur. Santa Cruz del Sur, that's over here, and that's right on the coast. They mentioned that. And then for all, I mean, there could be other cities at risk too, but they mentioned those. And then they mentioned Nueva Tirona. But they said the ETA here is like 2 hours from now. Whereas Cienfuegos and Santiago de Cuba, they had the initial ETA already passed. And then the last one they mentioned in Cuba specifically was Nueva Girona. And that is on the other side of this piece of land right here, up here. Again, the areas at risk right now are from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. They have the following areas. Cuba is the most at risk. 1 to 3 meters, tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters above the tide level are possible along some coasts of Cuba. Tsunami waves reaching 0.3 to 1 meters, roughly 1 to 3 feet above the tide level are possible for some coasts of Honduras and Cayman Islands. And there are possible tsunami waves of less than 1 foot in Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and British Virgin Islands. No observations of tsunami activity are available yet for Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, or British Virgin Islands. They say sea level readings are not yet available to confirm or evaluate if a tsunami has been generated. Data are expected within the next 30 minutes to an hour. Now, this came out 22 minutes ago. So sometime in roughly the next half an hour, I would think, we'll get another update from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, because they'll have data from sea level data to confirm and evaluate whether a tsunami has been generated. Okay. One of our viewers just asked about aftershocks. I'm going to look real quick over at EMSC and see if they have anything. There are still earthquakes happening in Greece. They've been having a bunch of them in a certain area there. But in terms of, where's the list? I need the whole list of earthquakes. Latest earthquakes. This is from EMSC. Here you go. I do not see any aftershocks at the moment. There is that Cayman Islands region, 7.6 an hour and 23 minutes ago. And after that, not seeing anything listed in the Cayman Islands region. Actually, I want to do magnitude 4 or greater. That's better. These are magnitude 4 or greater here. This is EMSC website. EMSC, you can check it out, is an earthquake organization. But those are everything above 4. And nothing, but I even checked everything above 2 and I didn't see any. Any live cams? I don't have access to, well, I can't show any of them. I can look and see if I see any Cuba live cams, but again, I can't show them. Jamaica would not be at tsunami risk anymore. The only places they're saying are at tsunami risk are Cuba, 3 to 10 feet roughly, 1 to 3 meters Cuba. This is it. 1 to 3 meters Cuba, 0.3 to 1 meters Cayman Islands, and for Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, possibly some less than 1 foot waves. That's it. That's your list. That is your list right there. Thank you, Daniel S., for your support. Thank you, Russell Bach. I really appreciate it, Russell. Thank you, DEV, our new member. And still looking for information for you. Let me just see if I have any other reporting here. Now, people have maybe been sending me stuff. I have not heard any reports of tsunamis yet. Maybe there aren't any. There might not have been any generated. Cindy McAfee mentioned that National Weather Service San Juan posted. It's the same information. They said the tsunami advisory continues in effect. Again, for Puerto Rico, if there are any, they're supposed to be less than 1 foot. The earliest estimated time that hazardous sea level fluctuations and strong ocean currents may begin in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands is in about an hour. But certainly, I mean, when you look at that number for Cuba, 3 to 10 feet basically, that's kind of scary. So hopefully it turns out that there aren't any waves like that. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, as we've been saying and as BNO News posted, the only tsunami warnings or advisories are for this list right here. Cuba, Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. And Virgin Island, Puerto Rico is possible less than 1 foot. Hang on a second. Let me try to get you a little information about a certain height. Give me a moment here. According to ChatGPT, they say that with a 10-foot, 3 meters tsunami wave, ChatGPT, they say that low-lying areas near the shore would be quickly inundated. Water could travel inland, damaging homes, businesses, and roads. Beachfront properties and structures could be completely swept away. Google AI says a 10-foot tsunami wave can cause significant damage to coastal areas, potentially destroying homes and businesses near the shoreline, flooding low-lying areas, and causing widespread disruption due to the force of the water and debris carried with it. They say areas within a mile of the coast and below 25 feet above sea level are particularly vulnerable to such a tsunami. nothing new yet from them. We don't even know if any waves have been generated. And again, you have to be careful. One of our viewers said, according to CTV, the U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center said a tsunami was not expected. Yes, they said it was not expected for certain locations. The U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center issues different alerts for different locations. So they've already said that there was not one expected in, for example, the Gulf of Mexico states and eastern Canada. They already said here, this was a while ago, that there is no tsunami danger for the U.S. East Coast, the Gulf of Mexico states, or the eastern coast of Canada. But that's different from their warning for the Caribbean, which has this. Tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters above the tide level are possible along some coasts of Cuba, 0.3 to 1 meters above the tide level for some coasts of Honduras and Cayman Islands. No reports yet of tsunamis. Check a couple things here. So, one of our viewers said, would there be signs of tsunami by now? If a tsunami several feet high had hit some part of Cuba, would we know it by now? That I don't know. I don't know how soon we would get that information. Here is a picture. Here's a map which shows you where that. This is where the shows you where the epicenter was. Right here, 7.6, the biggest earthquake since 2023. Hold on a second. One of our viewers, or one of my followers, Tom, mentioned the National Buoy Data Center. Or National Data Buoy Center. Again, we're waiting for in the last update, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said they did not have sea level data yet to confirm whether there's a tsunami. Oh, I see a flashing one. It says Gulf of Mexico, but I don't believe that the disturbance would have even made it there yet, all the way up there. This is the National Buoy Data Center here. So you see this thing is flashing here, flashing yellow, which I don't even know what that means, but I don't believe that if there was a significant sea level disturbance, it would have even reached that point yet. But I might be wrong. Maybe it would just be getting there because, well, I guess it's supposed to reach if it reaches Puerto Rico, it's supposed to reach Puerto Rico in like an hour. So anyways, but I clicked on it and what does it say? I don't really know. I would have to, I can't really interpret this. But this one is much closer. This one is closer here. Oh, we don't have a reading from that, do we? I don't see it. There's this one too. Anyways. I'll leave it to the experts. You can look at the National Data Buoy Center if you want to. This is the blink. The blink. This means it's in event mode. That it's blinking means event mode, but I'm not seeing a huge difference here. And this from here to here is, but anyways, I'll leave it to the experts to analyze that. Any more updates here? We're waiting. We should get another update soon from the U.S. Tsunami Warning System. Gnarly Drums thought it would be some time before that buoy showed any indication. Any significant aftershocks? When I last checked, the answer was no. I will check again. This is all recent magnitude 3+ earthquakes. There has literally not been one 3.0 or more earthquake since then, which you can see from the EMSC page right here. This is all earthquakes above 3.0. Nothing in Cayman Islands region after this 7.6. They have nothing. USGS, if I hit refresh, they also do not have any significant earthquakes in the area after that one. There is the location. The Tsunami Warning Center, one of our viewers said, how fast do they travel? They can move over 500 miles an hour, said the Tsunami Warning Center. Look. How fast does it travel? The speed depends on the depth of the water it is traveling through. The deeper the water, the faster the tsunami. In the deep ocean, tsunamis can move as fast as a jet plane over 500 miles an hour and can cross entire oceans in less than a day. As the waves enter shallow water near land, they slow to the speed of a car, approximately 20 to 30 miles per hour. Waiting for a new update. Something conclusive from the National Tsunami, U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. Sometime soon, we should be getting a new update. Again, they warned of tsunami waves of 1 to 3 meters, possibly hitting some parts of Cuba. I have not heard any reports that that has happened yet. Where is the Cuba one again? Where did I put that one? Right here. Tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters above tide level are possible along some coasts of Cuba. I have not seen any videos. Right, oops, of tsunami waves. I do not have any beach cams that I have ownership of and that I can show you. Checking some other things here. Hang on a moment. Thanks for writing in, the folks who have written in. One of our viewers, Jake, asked about ships in the area. So I don't know that ships would be significantly affected by this. It's a good question. I can show you, I mean, we can look at like marine traffic and see. That's the area where this earthquake occurred. In terms of, by the way, like damage, estimated fatalities between 0 and 1. Estimated damage, also economic losses at the lowest level. There is no one living in an area that is expected to have had more than light shaking from this. Fortunately, it occurred in a place away from where people live. You can see Georgetown, Cayman Islands here, believed to have a light shaking. But again, this was far from where people live. And, but in terms of the waves, let me just check marine traffic, which is a marine analytics and ship tracking provider, marinetraffic.com. And we can see ships in the area. So this is marinetraffic.com, which you can go to if you want. And if we go to over here to the Caribbean Sea, yeah, I mean, it certainly looks like there would have been ships in the general area, right? Because here is the Cayman Islands. There's the Cayman Islands. I mean, the earthquake happened somewhere in here, so there's plenty of ships in there. I don't know if they were affected at all. I'm sure they're aware of it. I'm sure they would get some sort of alert. But there's a tanker there. Bunch of tankers. A lot of tankers. Anyways, you can go to marinetraffic.com and click on these various ships. And then if you go to Cayman Islands, there is a Celebrity Summit passenger ship, a cruise ship there. But right now we have not heard about any tsunami waves at the Cayman Islands. They were at risk for waves of up to 3 feet, according to U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. But there certainly are ships in the area. And then Cuba, I don't know if, there's a couple of ships up here. I don't know if is this at risk? There was a city a couple cities in these inlets were mentioned. Let me just see if I have an update. At some point, we're going to get another update from Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Nothing yet. They have not updated yet. We're still waiting. One of our viewers mentioned an aftershock. Is that true? There is a there's a 4.8 that was in the area. This happened about 16 minutes ago. Thanks to pointing that out, our viewer. There was another earthquake, which looks like it could be an aftershock, a 4.8, not that far from the original one. You can see this on the map there from USGS. That is, the 7.6 was here. That's the 7.6. This, when was this one? This one was, now I'm confused. Yesterday. This one here was about like 22 hours ago, I think. This one was, oh, no, that was about, hold on, I'm wrong. I'm sorry, that wasn't 16 minutes ago. That was actually like an hour and 16 minutes ago. Because if you look at the times, it says 23:23:14 UTC for the original 7.8. Then it says 23:51:06. So that would have been about 28 minutes after the original one. 4.8, there you go. So they do have one. Now, have they put that up on EMSC yet? Let's see. It's interesting, EMSC doesn't have it up there. They just have the 7.8. So the USGS, thanks to our viewer for mentioning that, the USGS does have another earthquake, a 4.8, not that far from the original 7.6, which happened about a half hour after that original one. Queen CC says Cayman is a big cruise ship area. I wonder if there's a site that posts like cruise ship alerts. We'll be getting another update soon with more information, more specifics about whether there have been tsunami waves from the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. It really should be any moment now. This was a 7.6 earthquake in the Caribbean Sea. Again, in terms of, one of our viewers said, what about Guantanamo? It wasn't really specific. It says here, tsunami waves reaching 1 to 3 meters above tide level are possible along some coasts of Cuba. It doesn't specifically say all of the different locations in Cuba. This mentions 4 locations in Cuba as being within threatened areas, but it doesn't specifically say what all the threatened areas are. And it also says that the impacts can significantly vary from one section of the coast to the next due to local bathymetry, that's depth of water, and the shape and elevation of the shoreline. So I can't speak to the various locations in Cuba, what risk they might have. The current universal time is 1:10 a.m. So these 2 parts of Cuba would not be expected to get waves for over another hour. And also these parts of Honduras, well, no, these parts of Honduras would already, that time would already have passed. KT says Cuban news isn't very revealing. I don't have a lot of good up-to-date Cuban news sources. But very soon we'll get, the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center in their last warning said they did not yet have the sea level data to know whether tsunami waves have occurred, but they're expecting to get it soon. So I keep refreshing here because soon they will issue another update here. Again, any time now, I'm expecting it. Steve Sutton thinks a ship on deep water would notice little as long as it's over deep water beyond a continental shelf. That's what Steve Sutton thinks. I wonder if I can find you in the, there was a document I had before that I was showing you. How big is a tsunami? This is from tsunami.gov. In the deep ocean, the wavelength of a tsunami, the distance between waves, may be hundreds of miles, but its waves may be barely noticeable and rarely are more than 3 feet high. That's very interesting. In the deep ocean, the wavelength of a tsunami, the distance between waves, may be hundreds of miles, but its waves may be barely noticeable and are rarely more than 3 feet high. Mariners at sea will not normally notice tsunamis as they pass between their hulls. As the waves enter shallower water near land and slow down, their wavelengths decrease, they grow in height, and currents intensify. When they strike land, most tsunamis are less than 10 feet high, but in extreme cases they can exceed 100 feet when they strike near their source. The first wave may not be the last or the largest. A large tsunami can flood low-lying coastal areas more than a mile inland. Thanks, Steve Sutton. Thanks also Blake Myers and ABC Official Crypto, who mentioned the Dominican Republic. They are not at risk of tsunami waves, according to U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. Thank you, BDK. Also, prices on the rise, blame the bootlickers. Thanks for being a member. And also, thank you to Shraki on Twitch. And hold on a moment here. Oh, hold on. We have an update. I think, no, I don't think we have an update. It says tsunami threat. I think they have canceled. Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, I think, are canceled. I'm not seeing. Here we have an update. Breaking news update. News update. Look, Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. The tsunami advisory is now canceled for Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the British Virgin Islands. No more tsunami advisory from them. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The tsunami advisory is now canceled for Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the British Virgin Islands. That's good news. It was they were forecasting less than 1 foot high tsunamis. All right, that is new. Evaluation of all available data indicate a destructive tsunami for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands was not generated by this earthquake. Oh, there was. Hey, there was a, look, we have a tsunami of 0.1 feet. So far, tsunami wave of 0.1 feet detected in Isla Mujeres, Mexico. Again, you can see that right there. They say it. Oops. Observations of tsunami activity. Women Island, as one of our viewers said. The following are tsunami wave observations from coastal and or deep ocean sea level gauges at the indicated locations. Isla Mujeres, Mexico, 0.1 feet. Let me show you where that is. That is here. Okay, so remember the earthquake happened right around here. Isla Mujeres is up here. It's off the coast on the Yucatan Peninsula. Isla Mujeres. So there was a 0.1 foot, maybe an inch or so, tsunami wave detected there. That's the only one. Oh, it's Isla? Probably, it's Isla, I believe. Yes, Isla Mujeres, sorry. Because in Spanish. All right. Now, what do they say about Cuba? So they still have, right now, they still have posted the 1 to 3 meter threat for Cuba and the 0.321 meter threat for Cayman Islands. Those are the only two left on the board from the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. So there's the earthquake location, and the only two are for Cayman Islands. Those are, it's not just where it's not just where the purple thing is, but those are the two locations right now, Cuba and the Cayman Islands. And I assume we'll hear more about that soon. But the only one detected so far in the latest update from U.S. Tsunami Warning Center is a 0.1 foot tsunami detected at Isla Mujeres, Mexico, which is on the Yucatan Peninsula. Yes, and you might say, why is it Mexico? Because you just need to look at the map here. So Isla Mujeres is up here. See, it says Isla Mujeres. It's north of Cozumel. So there is the earthquake there. And they detected about an inch-high tsunami up here. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it works, but that's farther away from Cayman Islands than Cayman Islands was. So maybe we'll get words of other, maybe soon we'll have some other detections posted by the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center. What about Jamaica? No detection we're aware of yet. And they're not under tsunami advisory right now. The only ones left are for Cuba and the Cayman Islands, and those could change soon. Yes, this is the Caribbean Sea. And these are still posted. I just refreshed. They are still posted. Just these two. How about Miami Beach? No, just these two. That's it. These are the only two. These are the only places under any kind of tsunami warning or advisory. These two. Again, this is the biggest earthquake since 2023. A 7.6. Thanks to Gemini Rose 55. Thanks to Juan Cabrera. Thank you to Crift Network. Thanks also for your support. A Moment of Lovely. Thanks for subscribing on Twitch. And Sandy Doggo and Woogo. And Of 9. Thanks for the gift subs. Of 9. Thank you. Cuba in trouble? I don't know. I mean, that doesn't sound good, 1 to 3 meters. But we have heard nothing. I have not heard a single report of a tsunami in Cuba yet. Let me just point out again a couple of the areas that they mentioned for Cuba. In the warning there. Cienfuegos and Santiago de Cuba. But the estimated time of arrival for the initial tsunami wave there was, at both of these areas, was over an hour ago. Cienfuegos and Santiago de Cuba. So let me just show you what those look like. On Google Maps here. Cienfuegos is here. Now it's right on the coast. You can see, so the earthquake happened somewhere in here. And then Cienfuegos is on the water. And as I said earlier, maybe something about the fact that it's an inlet into a bay might make the tsunami effect in theory worse. But you can see that it is right on the water there. It's a city right on the water, right on the bay. How many people live in Cienfuegos, by the way? According to Wikipedia, Cienfuegos population is about 175,000 people live there. I got to look up and see. I'm going to see if I can find information on why that would increase the risk. So ChatGPT, for whatever it's worth, said that if a tsunami approaches from the right direction, an inlet can channel and amplify the waves as they enter the bay. Also, once inside the bay, shallow waters can amplify wave heights. Shallow waters can slow tsunami waves, causing them to rise in height before hitting the coast. Also, the enclosed nature of a bay may trap the waves, prolonging flooding and increasing destruction. So I was just wondering why a couple of the places specifically mentioned by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center were these cities that were located, there was an inlet, and then the city is located like on a bay, like Cienfuegos was. So I was wondering, why did they point that one out? Do we have an update here? Oh, they still have it posted. Still have it posted. Anytime now, we'll be getting another update from them, I think, about the Cuba and Cayman Islands warning. Thank you to, I'm going to say 7 Destroyer. Thank you, 7 Destroyer. Also, Dewey 1851. Oh, and thank you to all of our moderators who are here as we wait to hear more about Cuba and the Cayman Islands. Haven't heard of any reports of tsunamis there either. Thanks to our moderators, we have Ruth Krafasi, Roberts May Queen, Sabrina over there, Beth Mythical. Thank you. Also, Linda Belglary and Misha on X. Over there on Twitch, we have A Moment of Lovely, Big Ball of Yarn, David Green, Idaho Star, I Got That Fire, Mick Britches, and Surly Dev. And we have over there on Facebook, Paul Anderson, Christina Neal, Kay Lowry Body, Val G. Griffin. The only reported tsunami, thanks moderators, the only reported one so far is a 0.1 foot tsunami at Isla Mujeres, Mexico, on the Yucatan Peninsula. That's it so far. Oh, our viewers are mentioning aftershocks. Let me go to USGS here. Yes, there have been a couple of aftershocks. So that's the original one that was at 2323 UTC, which was about, 2 hours ago, I believe. And then there was this one, which was a 4.8, about 28 minutes later. And then about an hour after the initial one, there was a 4.2. This one here was yesterday. No, not that. Yeah, this one right here was not today. This was like 23 hours ago. But you have that one and then the two, it looks like 2 aftershocks there. That's from USGS. Christian, there is no tsunami threat to Puerto Rico. The only current threats are for Cayman Islands and Cuba. That is it. Those two. Thanks, Ranko65, for the gift memberships. When this first was reported, it was initially reported as, I saw reports of an 8.0. Then it was revised down. At one point, it was revised down to a 6.7, then revised back up to a 7.6. Hold on. I have another thing. New update here. It says this is tsunami waves have been observed, but it's same thing, only one wave observed, and it says its tsunami threat forecast is still the same. This just came out right now, 8 minutes ago. Tsunami waves have been observed. The initial sea level reading from Mexico shows a small wave. The initial sea level reading from Mexico shows a small wave. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center will continue to monitor sea level gauges in the region until it is confirmed that the threat has passed. Okay, so that's promising news. Officially, there is still this threat of 1 to 3 meter waves above the tide level along some coasts of Cuba and 0.3 to 1 meters above the tide level for some coasts of Honduras and Cayman Islands. But they say that, by the way, this says Honduras and Cayman Islands. I thought before they were just saying Cayman Islands. See, this just says Cayman Islands and Cuba. Anyways, but they do say that, this is important, the initial sea level reading from Mexico shows a small wave. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center will continue to monitor sea level gauges in the region until it is confirmed that the threat has passed. Not one, the wave that was observed that we know about is 0.1 feet. That's the only one they have. So this is encouraging news. But officially, there is still, oh, here, look what they have here. They have 4 locations. So they've stopped mentioning. There were 2 other locations in Cuba, which would have had a wave. Their ETA was before now, and they've taken those off the ETA list. So right now the ETA list has these 4 locations on it. Although this 0022 would have been over an hour ago. There's 2 in Honduras and 2 in Cuba. But Honduras are supposed to be, if they get waves, 0.3 to 1 meter. Cuba, estimated time of arrival in Santa Cruz del Sur would be in an hour and a half. And Nueva Gerona, Cuba, would be in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Dreaming in Puerto Rico says, hopefully this earthquake was not a precursor for an even bigger one. So again, every encouraging news right now. Officially, at some point, we'll get more updates from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. We just got a new one, but at some point they might just cancel these threats. But there's nothing so far to suggest that there's some big tsunami wave. I don't know how long they'll go on this, but they just came out with that one. Let me see something. I don't know that You know, while we are waiting to hear more on this, what I should mention real quick is give me a moment. This here, right here. Some of you have been mentioning this. Santorini restricts traffic and imposes more precautionary measures against earthquakes. There is intense seismic activity in this part of Greece. Scientists are continuing to monitor the ongoing seismic swarm of undersea earthquakes as strong as magnitude 5.2 that are mostly affecting Santorini and 3 nearby islands, where schools have often also closed and more limited emergency measures were taken. This is from AP. Despite causing minimal damage, the earthquake activity has prompted an exodus of thousands of residents, tourists, and seasonal workers, mostly evacuating to the Greek mainland by ferry. Experts say that the seismic activity is unrelated to volcanic activity in the Aegean Sea, but they are still unable to say whether the earthquake swarm could lead to a more powerful earthquake. That is from Associated Press. And hang on one moment here. Let me show you one other thing here about those earthquakes. Week of tremors exposes dangers of Santorini's construction boom. Oh, I can show you a video about the earthquakes. Hold on a second here. While we're waiting for more from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, here is a little video on the earthquakes in Greece, in the earthquake swarm in Greece near in the Santorini area. By the way, that area here Santorini, Greece. Oopsie, that didn't work well. Did I get it here? Let's see. This is Santorini. The island is Santorini. There you go. Santorini. So there is Greece, and then Santorini is this island here. And if you look at USGS, I bet if we go over there, we'll see earthquakes down there. Oops. There. See the earthquakes there? Right there. There's your bunch of earthquakes. So while we wait for more from the U.S. Tsunami Warning Center, let's just show you something real quick about these earthquakes in Greece. Check this out.
Hundreds of smoke.
This is from Reuters. It's from that article I was just reading from Reuters. Oops. Here you go. Where is it here? Where is it? Here's a little video. You can see week of tremors exposes Santorini's construction boom. This is from Reuters. Let's